Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at our Saris MHS 2-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited 4xe version. So this is going to be a modular bike rack. We have the ability to switch out different trays, move them around really quick, have an add-on on the end. It's its own little modular system. So we'll talk about that and the different specs and measurements, but we're going to focus on our Jeep 4xe today. That way you can see what is the better fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your Jeep. So the first feature we'll talk about is your spare tire clearance. As you can see here, it comes really close to the spare tire, but even with our larger pedals and our long handlebars, we actually just barely made clearance there, so that's really good to see. The downside is we are not able to fold up the bike rack, so keep that in mind for the future. You may need to get a hitch extender, which has its own downsides too, like reduced weight capacity, or you can get a bike rack with a longer shank, but that's not going to be the Saris MHS. Alright, another feature we'll talk about is the tilt away feature. So we have this big lever here, and we have a guard on the bottom. So you're going to pull on the inside of the guard, pull that lever, and just let this bike rack drop down. Now, the reason people usually drop down their bike rack is if they want to lower their tailgate or open up their hatch door. In our case here, with our spare tire, you would want to open it up if you want to open up the door, but as you can see here, you can barely get that door open before making contact with the rack. So with that being said, there really isn't a reason to tilt your bike rack away on your Jeep 4xe. So that's kind of a bummer, because then that's the second feature you lose out on with a spare tire. So you just lift that bike rack up and it snaps into place. So I guess we'll focus on the bikes the bike on our bike rack and the way this holds everything down. So we have 3 touch points. 2 are going to be the super easy to use wheel mounts, and then you also have this rear wheel cradle strap. So when you want to take your bike off, that's the first place you'll go. You'll press that lever to disengage that strap, lift it up, and there's actually a little bit of a hook on the end here that helps secure that strap, so it's out of the way of your bike as you move this back and forth. Very helpful when you're utilizing that tray system. And then you're going to go for the wheel mounts. So let's compare this with other wheel mount style bike racks. So we have the Thule Helium and the Inno tire hold. The Saris MHS has their lever right over here. You want to be very careful with that lever though. If you're holding it on this side and you have it really tight, you can easily pinch your skin there. Now compare that to the Thule Helium, which has it on top, and the Inno tire hold, which has it on the tray itself, which I personally prefer, but they all work the same way. You press that lever, you push that mount out, and you hold on to your bike rack as you do, or your bike as you do so. Press this lever, and that's going to be a tight fit. Let's give it extra strength there. Alright. I have it super secured, so you can see here how it really holds on to that bike. Whew. There we go. Now we can push that out. And then from here, we can grab our bike, and we are ready to go on a bike ride. So I'm going to go leave this over to the side so that we can take a closer look at the bike rack itself. Notice how the trays are situated. You can see how it makes it easier for you to move your bike back and forth just to get the best clearance with your pedals, with your seats, with your handlebars. And then what actually limits you though is going to be this front wheel chock. So this allows you to get that extreme weight capacity. We do have a weight capacity with these trays of 60 pounds per bike, so your heavy electric bike's perfectly fine with that. You have this wheel mount that's secure. That wheel mount can be moved up and down for your different tire widths. You also have this integrated cable lock on each of your trays. That way you can secure your bikes on their own, and usually they try to give you extra lock cords with the base. That way you can get everything keyed alike. Alright, let's move this back into position. I highly recommend putting your straps back in place even when your bikes are not on there. That way they're not flopping around as you drive around. This goes there. So just like that, it's a quick and easy process of mounting and dismounting your bikes. So let's talk about specs and measurements. Like I said, we have a 60-pound weight capacity per bike. You have the ability to add on another tray right over here. That is going to limit your weight capacity down, so not heavy electric bikes out on the end. Let's talk about the clearances with our spare tire. Closest point is going to be from our spare tire to that mast, and that sits at 1 inch of clearance there. And then the length added to our Jeep is going to be measured, I'd say, from the end of the spare tire to the end of the bike rack. That's going to sit at about 30 inches of length there. So if you are trying to back into your garage or park into a really tight spot, that's a measurement to think about. Don't forget the add-on is going to add a little bit to that. Ground clearance, we'll measure from the end of our bike rack to the ground. That's going to be 21 inches of ground clearance. Right where your trays are going to sit, that's going to sit at 29 inches of ground clearance. So to demonstrate, notice how ground clearance is definitely not an issue for Jeeps because they're high up. They're meant to go over those steep inclines like those driveways or hills, as well as those racks. So in our case here for our Jeep, this is going to be how high you're going to have to lift those 60-pound bikes if you do want to maximize your system. Now, there is a portable compact position which involves pulling this lever and folding it up, but we are not able to get access here on our Jeep. In fact, as I pull this up, the closest that I can get is right over here, and then it hits our spare tire, so not enough for it to lock into place. So we'll just go straight into what is it like living with a bike rack like this. You're going to have to keep this in a down position. Fortunately, you can add this on. It was really nice to see that we had clearance with our bikes. We do have a 2-inch shank on our bike rack. Fits right into our 2-inch hitch receiver. This is a heavy rack, so I even put an etrailer hitch alignment collar on here. That way, once we got that bolt into place, which is our anti-rail bolt, this has a lock on the end. We tighten that down, put the etrailer hitch alignment collar. That way, the next time we have to install this bike rack, I don't have to look back and forth to make sure that bolt is easy to line up. So my personal thoughts about this bike rack is I really like the MHS system. It's a modular rack. You would look at it if you want something that you can switch out the trays easily and use the different MHS accessories. If you're looking for just a 2-bike platform rack though, there are other bike racks that do pretty much the same job without having all those extra features. So one of them is going to be the Rocky Mounts monorail that has a further distance away for the shank, so you actually have better clearance with your spare tire with that bike rack. Definitely worth checking out here at etrailer.com, but it's nice to see that we are still able to get the important features of the Saris MHS 2-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.